Welcome to another edition of the Contractors' Secret Weapon weekly podcast with your hosts, Dave Negri. This program is dedicated to helping contractors, remodelers, painters, roofers, roof cleaners, and business owners in the construction industry gain an unfair advantage over the competition. This program supplies you with information that the competition doesn't even know exists. This session brought to you by ContractorsSecretWeapon.com.
Before we get into the conversation with you, I just want to do a shout out to our sponsors who help promote Contractors' Secret Weapon and just some of the things that they have in store for you, our listeners. Hey, is your phone ringing enough? Do you want it to ring more with highly motivated and qualified buyers that contact you, the contractor, directly? No more waiting for the phone to ring. Just answer that phone. Best Home Services leads are dedicated to making your phone ring with motivated buyers that call you directly. There's no obligation to talk with them. Just go to ContractorsSecretWeapon.com/money. Fill out the form to secure your discount on the setup fee. Do it today. This special will not last forever. Check them out at ContractorsSecretWeapon.com/money.
Running a small business is no easy task, and I should know because I had a service company for almost 10 years. I am the founder of a software called RadiusBomb, and it's unbelievable. And for all the listeners of Contractor's Secret Weapon, we have a special offer for you to check out. If you want to send hyper-targeted, laser-focused, super personalized postcards to your exact prospects using a map while sitting in your underwear, then go to ContractorSecretWeapon.com/RadiusBomb, and we'll give you your first 100 postcards for free. Just go to ContractorSecretWeapon.com/RadiusBomb.
Hey, welcome to Contractor's Secret Weapon. Today we've got a great day, we've got a great guest, and it's just fun when I have an opportunity to talk with other contractors about their successes and the things that make them grow. And today I have Jonah Canter. He owns Canter Construction Company in Charleston, South Carolina. They are a premier company that does remodeling. So it's a fun talk we had together. We talked about how he grew his business basically with $0. And so he's going to share that with us today, and so that you can help your business grow in maybe the same way that Jonah did his. And so let's get into and welcome Jonah Canter from Canter Construction in Charleston, South Carolina. Jonah, I am so glad that you're with us today. It's a really special treat for me because I don't get to talk to too many contractors, and it's really exciting. So thanks for being with us today.
Dave, I appreciate it as well, and thanks for having me on the show. For those of people who don't know me out there, my name is Jonah Canter. I'm the owner of Canter Construction and also a co-owner of Oceanside Construction and Design, located here in beautiful Charleston, South Carolina. And I've been in the construction industry for probably over 20 years, but actively with my companies for the past 10 years in different capacities, from being the guy that hits the hammer on the nail all the way up to being the owner now and having to make a lot of the hard decisions and business decisions that come with it. So
all that fun work. Now, before it used to be mindless. You just go to work, do this, and now it's like, I got to think about all this stuff that I got to do.
Yeah, it's I am the organizer of chaos is what I always tell my wife. And whenever anybody ever questions, I had an employee a long time ago say to me, well, what do you get paid to do? And I looked at him dead in the face, and I didn't even bat an eye. And I said, I get to do the $100 an hour stuff. You get to do the $14 an hour stuff. So we'll just keep it at that. But in all seriousness, I've had kind of a very interesting background. As a kid, I grew up in Columbia, South Carolina. Went on a soccer scholarship to all-male private school, Hampton-Sydney in Virginia. Went for a year, hated it, dropped out, didn't know what I was going to do. I moved down to Florida, to Fort Lauderdale area, ended up working on boats. That was when you're young and you can kind of be stupid and not know what you're really wanting to do. And I slowly made my way back up, and my family is from the Charleston area, and ended up getting a job with my brother-in-law, believe it or not, as a shipping manager for a startup company. And if you don't know me, one thing that I'm very proud of is that if you hand me a shovel and tell me to dig you a trench, I'm going to dig you the best trench you've ever seen. I've just always had a really strong work ethic. Yeah. So when they put me in that role as a shipping manager, I was trying to find ways of making things better, faster, cheaper for the company. And that kind of, I guess, caught the eye of some of the business owners. And they kept promoting me within that startup company to the point where I ended up moving overseas to the Netherlands and was their point man for opening up a print facility. So that was a whole fun time of my life. And by this time, I was only about 22 years old, had hair down to my shoulders, still a dumb kid just trying to figure it all out. But when I moved overseas to the Netherlands, I gained that whole business sense, that operation sense, like, hey, they're counting on me and there's people under me who are counting on me. I have to take this serious. So that was a fun part of my life where I tell people I grew up very fast at 22, or the rest of my friends were waiting tables and drinking and doing whatever they wanted. I was negotiating print contracts and things with Dutchmen and Belgian people at the time. So anyways, the whole point of that is that Amazon ended up buying that company, and I ended up working for Amazon for a while in the same capacity, opening up these print facilities in various locations of their fulfillment centers. And I got my business background from working at Amazon. And Amazon's a place, if you've never worked for them, it is a really tough environment. They expect the world. They expect blood, sweat, tears, and almost your firstborn child when you work there. But I lasted about 3 years, and my wife said, I'll divorce you if you don't quit, because I wasn't sleeping and all this. But what it did teach me is it taught me a lot of things that I apply to my business now. And a couple of those things is the customer experience has to be the most amazing thing on earth, right? It has to be something that they're not getting, because if they can just get it anywhere, well, you're one of a million. But if you supply something they don't have or they are not seeing, that makes you, the one-eyed man is the king at the land of the blind kind of situation. So I really, when I came back from all that, I started my company. And at first it was a cabinet company. And that was around 2007. I was rolling. I was feeling good. Cabinets were flying out the door. And then this year of 2008 hit, and all hell broke loose, as everybody knows now.
That's why I'm laughing. In 2007, I was a millionaire. In 2008, I lost it all. In the words of Richard Branson, they asked him, they said, how do you become a millionaire? And he said, well, you start as a billionaire, and then you buy an airline company. Which is true. But anyways, bottom tanked. That I had to shut that company down. Lucky for me, the same guys who had started that other startup, I literally was walking down the street and saw them, and they were like, we froze, and they were like, what are you doing? And I was like, struggling. And they're like, we're getting the band back together. And so I just as soon as I had stepped in my construction life, I stepped right back out of it. And I ended up working for those guys for a long time in another software startup until this past year. They allowed me to own my construction company and be their point guy at the software company. Nice. It was it was an amazing situation for me. It's why I took it on. Great guys. I have great respect for them. And I slowly but surely left that business altogether and focused on my business. But I guess I'm giving you little breadcrumbs to show you, sometimes you don't know where your life is going to take you, but you need to take pieces of your life and apply them to the next part of your life. Well, yeah. And one of the interesting things that I think that nobody really thinks about is that you are here today because of what you went through in the past.
Yeah. And you're going to be the person you're going to be because of what you've learned in the past, too.
Yeah. So everything's important. It really is when you take it into that perspective.
Yeah, and it's one of the things when I got serious about my construction company, the one thing that I wanted to do was I look at things. Well, let me take it back. I was at a conference one time giving a speech, and this kid stood up and he said, "Hey, Jonah, you've been an entrepreneur. How do you look for the next new technology or next new thing to land a business in?" And I looked at him and I said, "You don't." I said, "You take something that exists now and you make it immensely better." So Uber did that to the taxi industry. Right? Amazon's doing that to almost everything right now.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be some super smart guy that invents the next technology. What you have to do is look at businesses that are not being run well as a whole or as a general philosophy and make them better. So when I came into construction, that's the first thought. And I started to look at it. I know you're laughing because you know, and everybody who's probably listening knows that the construction industry is rife with just idiots. Let's be honest with you. I mean, derelicts, truckies, bad business people, you name it. And one of my fond jokes that I tell my customers today, just to get a laugh, but it's true, is I said, who knew the minimum bar to success was having all my teeth and showing up on time? I'm going to be rich. And to anybody that doesn't have teeth, I'm not making fun of you about that, but there is a little bit of a stigma with construction.
Yeah. I was in the paint store one day, and I was talking to the representative, and we were talking about stuff like this, and he goes, because it was mentioned more, they have training seminars for their painters in different parts of the country, and he said the trainer come in, and there's like 100 guys in the room, and so he brings in this book. He says it's probably 6, 8, 10 inches big, and he holds it up, and then he puts it down, and he goes, okay, we're going to make this simple today. How many people want to become wealthy in the painting contracting business? And like a bunch of guys raise their hands, and he goes, okay. He said, it's not in this book. He said, answer your phone and return phone calls.
It's so true. It's so true. Even today I get calls, and that's another thing of mine. I pick it up. I try to be responsive, and people will pick up and go, oh my gosh, I didn't expect you to pick up. And I'm like, well, I'm not like everybody else. I'm going to talk to you. Because, I mean, I have the ability in my current role to make sure that every call is answered. Right. And so there's little things like that people miss. But the idea I had was focusing on things like that are, I look back now and are very small details and very simple and don't cost you money and are simple, but mean the difference of the world. It changes you completely different from the other guy. I don't care what kind of car you roll up in or truck. I don't care what you look like. I'm bearded with tattoos, right? I care how you respond to me. I care about your personality, how you react to things. And so if you can be immensely better than everybody else in that case, you're going to be successful. So that's what I did with this company, Canter Construction. And it's really helped me keep myself grounded, keep a good head on where I want my business. It's been very successful for my business as well. But one of the stories I think I came here today to kind of talk about is trying to help contractors who are typically good at, being contractors, their skill set, they're good carpenters or whatever, but they fall short when it comes to the business side. They didn't get the training. They don't have the know-how, whatever. And in that sense, a lot of what is left out, I think, is, trying to figure out how to keep your phone ringing without paying money, right? That's the biggest thing for your phone ringing. So a while ago, I was getting my domain name, which is canterconstruction.com. I was trying to get that domain name because it's my last name. And lo and behold, this other company popped up, and they happen to be related to me, 14th cousins or something, right? And I looked at it and I went, no problem. I'll do Canter Construction SC for SouthCarolina.com and roll on. Right. And as I started to become successful, I started to get these comments from people saying, hey, I looked up your company, your website, and there's some old man out of Wilkesboro, North Carolina, or wherever it was. And I said, really? And so I started to look at this, and I realized, wow, these people are looking for me in Charleston, and this other company is popping up. Are they going to get my business? No. Or that business? No, because they're not in the Charleston area. But it led me to go, you know what? Their website didn't look fresh. It looked like it was old PHP. And I said, you know what? They may not care about this. I'm going to call them, and we're related somehow. I'm going to ask them if they'll let me buy the domain. So I called, and a nice lady answered, and I went in and said, hey, I'd like to potentially talk to you guys about buying your domain. And she literally went, nope, and hung up the phone.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, gosh, she didn't even know if I was going to offer like $2 million or, I mean, I wasn't, but she cut me off. And to this day, I even tell people I do not hold anything against those guys. They did nothing wrong. I wouldn't sell my domain right now if somebody asked me. But what it did was it all of a sudden lit this fire. And I always use the term, hell hath no fury like me scorned. When she scorned me on that, I decided enough is enough. I want to figure out how when my people search for my name in Charleston, how I can be the top list in Google. And so one of the things that I did and going through that is I learned all this on the fly, and people listening that know a little bit about this are already thinking he's learning SEO or search engine optimization. That is the goal at the end of this. And it's a bit of alchemy and smoke and mirrors, and we'll talk more about that. But what I tried to do was, how do I get myself in front of people when they do a search for my name? That's how I started. Well, now I look at ways of, when you look at contractor Charleston, how am I the first one? So that's a little bit about what I'm going to talk about.
Cool.
First thing that
they may not know who you are. I mean, and that's one of the things. Like, I come up if you're looking for my name under my business, but like you're saying, that if they're looking for your name under your business, that's fine. But if they're looking for a contractor, that's a whole other animal. And you want to come up there, you want to be right in front of their face as best you can. You
do, and that's the harder of the two things. Like, absolutely, nobody knows you as or they get your name from somebody else, but people serendipitously finding you, that's what you want, right? Mm-hmm. Because I'm searching for this and your result for that. So one of the first things that I teach people to do is there's a lot of free websites out there, BuildZoom, Porch, House, Mana, that allow you to have free listings where you can put your company logo, your website, pictures. It's free to do. You can go out there, spend some sweat equity and a 6-pack of beer watching TV, and put yourself out on as many sites as possible. Now, will these sites try to back sell you, like, oh, buy a subscription? Of course, but the point being there is ignore them, put them in junk, whatever. But you're starting to build relevance in multiple listings, because instead of your name being just on a Google business listing, now it's on Mana, now it's on Porch, now it's on House. So you're kind of like throwing 7, 8 fishing lines out there. Mm-hmm. And what you'll probably find when you do that is not much is going to happen with your business. And it shouldn't really. It's just getting you out in the world. Now, the thing that I learned was that after I keep in mind, I was doing this hoping for big expectations I didn't see. And I was like, So I went to phase 2. And what I initially did was Porch was a company that I had listed on, and they had this deal with Lowe's where they had a kiosk in a Lowe's, and you could say, oh, I need my windows installed or a fan installed, and here's preferred contractors. Gorgeous website. So I went on Porch and just had a bunch of people review me, and I had maybe 21 reviews. And all of a sudden I went back to that search for Canter Construction, and lo and behold, those people, nice people that they are in North Carolina, were third or fourth result all of a sudden. And my Porch reviews and a Mana listing and some other stuff were ahead of them. Sure. And so right there, I was like, okay, I see what's going on here. And so the third phase of this, after having a little bit of success there, was I started to look at my website and pictures a little more closely. Now, keep in mind, I have Google Analytics on the backside of my website. I look at those all the time to see where are people coming from. When they get to my website, what do they do? Right. The thing that I realized from looking at those business analytics was, on my first website, I went, wow, they're popping in and popping out, right? I didn't have my number front and center. It wasn't a beautiful, like a spider web of capturing them and them digging in deeper. So I cannibalized my first website, came up with a brand new, clean, slick website, same one I have today, and started to watch the business analytics again. And I started to realize that people were then popping in and searching around. They're spending more time when they do get to my website. So a little bit of just to backtrack is you get yourself out there in as many places as possible, right? You then try to focus on reviews, which initially I did Porch reviews, and we're going to get into the Google reviews in a second. Okay. And then you look at your website and your listing. Even those listings that I mentioned, you always want to have fresh pictures, fresh updates to it. You may not want to cannibalize the whole website, but Google does backtrack and look at things, and it notices when things are updated and says, oh, well, you've updated pictures. So it gets back into relevance when somebody's searching for contractor, and it can help you down the road of saying, oh, we think you're looking for Canter Construction. So cool. I did that for a little bit. And then was still not seeing. I wanted to honestly have those people off the first listings page. So my wife always jokes. She says, Jonah, if you had a boat, I'm pretty sure you would name it Never Satisfied, and it's so true. And I wasn't. So what I did next was, and I shame myself today for not focusing on this, but I had a Google business listing, and I started to do what I call the art of asking. And the art of asking for Google reviews is very simple, and it had the most immediate and profound effect on my business and the business leads that I ended up getting.
Sure.
You have to keep in mind, Google is something that not 100% of people have, but almost everybody on earth has a Gmail account, right?
Yeah.
So the things that you're looking, when you're asking for a favor, which is what you're doing when you ask for a review, you don't want it to be convoluted and step through hoops or to sign up for something. That's junk. Nobody's going to do it.
Right.
It's going to stop the process. But if you make it one click and easy, you're going to get reviews. So what I started doing was I would do work for clients, make sure they were totally happy. Jonah, you're the best thing since sliced bread. Awesome, blah, blah, blah. And then I would send them a follow-up email and say, hey, for people like you who found me online or found me through a review, through a referral, reviews are a good way of saying, I do top quality work. I'm a good guy. I'm honest, all of these things. Do you mind providing me with a 5-star review? And then I would send them a hyperlink for the Canter 5-star review right there in the email. And what that would do is, boom, they click that hyperlink, they go right to the review, and they're typing away, 5 stars, send, and done. And you have to, as a contractor, you have to understand that you are asking for a favor, so keep it simple. But Google, who runs one of the biggest, if not the biggest, search sites, why was I not getting reviews from Google to begin with? I look back and I want to hit myself over the head with a hammer. But what that did is a couple of things. It kept me in check to make sure that my business was running correctly. I was offering good services, good customer service, good skilled services to clients, because I wasn't just done when the job was done and the check was in my bank. I wanted something more, right? So it's a good checks and balance for contractors to keep them. If you want to grow your business, you got to be good at it. You got to be the best at it. And you do that by being able to ask for as many reviews as possible. So I asked for these reviews over time, and the next thing I realized was it was quiet. And then the phone started ringing, and then the phone kept ringing, and I would pick it up and they'd go, yeah, is this Canter Construction? And I'm like, yes. And they're like, oh yeah, I found you online. And I was just ear to ear smiling, because up to that point in my life, 75% of my business was referral from realtors, friends, whomever, and made a good living on that. And, the 25% was somebody just randomly found you, and I don't even know if I got the work from them at that point. Fast forward to today, 90% of my work comes from online and 10% is referrals.
Wow.
So that's an amazing flip. And what happens there is I talked about the alchemy of it. Nobody truly understands SEO. And if they do tell you that, they're a snake oil salesman and they're full of it. Because Google is always changing their spaghetti algorithm of search relevance and results and everything. So you're always chasing a ghost. But if you know where that ghost is going to appear, you can try to target yourself to figure out how to be there at that time. And so that's where I'd like to recap and say, fundamentals here is get yourself out in as many places as possible. Cannibalize, update your website. Make sure that you're asking for reviews. I don't want to say that you're ended up like kind of whoring yourself out there, but you really have to promote yourself as much as possible on the internet. And if you have 5 Google reviews, don't even act like that's enough, right?
I saw yours. You got 55.
Yeah, and I'm constantly asking every day for people when we close out jobs, will you give me a review? Will you give me a review? Yeah. Because that's free marketing that I don't pay for. I don't use Google AdWords. I don't pay for any of that. I've never seen any results. But from sweat equity, which is what we all need in contracting, I found out ways to keep promoting myself to the point where if you are in the geography of Charleston and you look up Contractor Charleston now, I'm one of the top guys. In fact, I come up there against commercial giants in the area. I'll be the 4th guy. And the biggest thing is I've got 55 reviews.
Right, you got your reviews, you got your relevance, and you change up your pictures. So there's constant upgrading of your website, which is really not a big deal because it's not really doesn't take you a whole lot of time. But these are the little things that Google looks for, and they're the little things that, dude, most of your kids can do.
It's correct. And now it's funny is people who may start say they're in Florida or somewhere else, you might get different results because it does look at your area likelihood that you want. So it doesn't mean you'll look up contractor and find me, but I don't really care about people necessarily out of Charleston as much as I do about the greater Charleston area.
Right.
But the thing that it's a star that shines the brightest about the reviews, and I've had plenty of people tell me this, is we saw some other contractors and they had 4 reviews and you had 55 5-star reviews. We called you because we're like, oh my gosh, you can't have that many brothers or cousins that are, but he's out there. And so that's a testament to a person who does not know you, right? Somebody who finds you organically, doesn't know you from Adam, already knows that they don't trust contractors by very nature. You build that trust before they even pick up the phone and call because they look and go, wow, people like this guy and he seems to do good work. So there's tons of benefits, not only to getting your own leads and whatnot, but also in securing deals and adding a layer of comfort for particular clients that they're trusting you right off the bat because they've read reviews.
I like what you said is you make it easy for them.
Yes,
which
absolutely.
And it's it's like you're selling. You're doing everything for them. Like I just did that with one of mine, because I said, cause she was just ranting and raving. She says, you don't understand how my mom usually throws contractors off the job the first day. I go, why? She goes, because she thinks they're getting paid by the hour and they're taking too long.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Yeah,
I mean, you should never have a contractor that you pay by the hour. Right, that's terrible.
Yeah, I know that. So she was, at her mom's big house, we're thinking about selling it, and I go. So when we got through, it was like there last day. She said, "My mom loves you guys." She goes, "You must love your job or your work." And I go, "Why did she say that?" Because you're doing all the little stuff, the meticulous stuff. And she said, "I said you'll write a review on that, won't you?" She goes, "Absolutely." So I did, and I provide her with a link. And a lot of times we'll do. I don't have anywhere near 55, but I'll give them the link, and I'll go, "This is what I heard you say. Change it if you want, or." Just so they can cut and paste it.
Yeah. I thought about doing that, but I kind of like the kind of off the cuff because there's sometimes I get reviews that they're comical to me, but they're a testament to my crew.
Sure.
So I have a guy named Pete who is a phenomenal guy. I pay him a lot of money, but he's an OCD neat freak. You'll never find another man like Pete. And somebody wrote, "This company is awesome, and Pete is the cleanest person I've ever met on a job site." But you think about that, we're both laughing, and it is funny. But to a client who that's important to, that's going to be a selling point to them, right?
Yeah, because, that's what I hate is when I got to clean up after somebody's come in and work in my house.
Absolutely. So there's, when it gets back to the review part of it, I think, people just need to understand how reviews are actually hidden money. And a great example is, and I've done this several times, as contractors, we'll get into situations where there's a wall and you're doing some work and you don't know what's behind it because you can't rip it up before you get a contract with them. You get into it and you're like, "Hey, I'm going to charge you $2,000 for whatever it is." And you open up the wall and you go, "Oh man, this isn't as bad as we thought. Okay, yeah, we can do this 2 days, whatever. Yeah, it's only about $1,500. Well, you know what I do? I'm not greedy. No. I go back to that client and I go, "Hey, guy, lady, whatever. We were going to charge you $2. I'm going to reduce this to $15 because it's less work, and I think you'll be happy with that, and it's a fair price at that one. I don't want to overcharge you."
Right.
And the look on their face is like, "Oh my God, Jonah, I would have never known that, and you could have just taken my money. That's amazing. I appreciate it." What does that build? Absolute trust that this guy's looking out for me.
And you just got $10,000 worth of free marketing. Are you kidding me?
Oh, yeah, because the next thing I say is, "Hey, you know what? Since I saved you $500, you mind writing me a 5-star review? That's worth tons of money to me." So you got to be, in that sense, you got to be a guy that, you're shifting and understanding that I may be taking $500 out of my pocket, but what am I gaining? I'm gaining a 5-star review, a referral, and somebody who 100% trusts me. And if anybody goes, "Man, I need a contractor," I'm going to be the first person in their mind.
Sure.
So there's important, having values in this industry and not being shady can get you positive results. And not being shady is simply charging people for what they should be charged.
Right.
And when you see something like that, help them out. So.
Right. And like, don't be afraid to charge them, but give them the value that they're expecting.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that's pretty awesome. All that free stuff that you can do, it takes time, and it doesn't happen overnight, but it does take time. But everything worth value takes time anyways.
It does. I mean, if you think you're going to get into a business and make $1 million tomorrow, you'll be sadly mistaken. The truth of this business is you need to be able to weather anything that comes at you. I'm building my business so that when the next bottom drops, I keep on rolling through it with a smile on my face,
right,
while everybody else is selling their $80,000 trucks and houses on the water and they're screwed. I'll be buying up those properties from them. And that's what you're really trying to do, is you're trying to future-proof your business. And you do that by getting in the trenches and doing this kind of small nuanced work and doing it right, so that when it does come time, when everybody starts to fold, you'll have plenty of guys trying to do work for pennies on the dollar because they're struggling, and I just have work coming in, So I think that's a important value in it to have.
Absolutely. Wow, this has really been very, very eye-opening and interesting. Especially, I love the way that you do the Google reviews, and you've got 55. So that's just being consistent all the time, always asking. Because here's what I read an article not too long ago. And it just blew me away, that when you ask somebody for a review or a testimony, I thought it was really astronomically low. I'm going to say 15% of the people will actually do it, but 90% of the people will check it for a review. Yes,
and that's why you have to be diligent, but not too pushy. Right. I send no more than 2 review requests. I'll send a review request. I'll ask somebody, do you mind writing? Yeah, no problem. I'll send them an email with the link. Nothing happens. I'll send them a follow-up email and say, hey, just wanted to make sure you got this. Do you mind giving us a review? If I don't hear anything, I move on, because I'm not going to be pushy about it, because it feels forced at that point. But you are right. And for that very fact, keep in mind what people typically write a review about. Negative. They will 100% write you a negative review, but they very rarely will write you a positive review. So back to the 55 Google reviews, I take that as a testament. When people see that, some people know that and go, wow. I mean, it's like when you're on Amazon and you buy a product, you can see people who are complaining about the shipping of the product, and you're like, that's not a product review. You can't do that. I don't care if UPS screwed it up. But then the 2 and 3 stars, those are the ones you're paying attention to, because people were looking and they'll write about, hey, it broke down after 2 weeks, or it didn't work, I had to ship it back, it was damaged. Those kind of things are valid product reviews. And so when you have a product that's got a 5-star review, I don't even read all of them. I'm like, done, see ya, I'm going to buy it, whatever. I trust that through the social media aspect of this, that the group hive mentality works, and it's a good product.
That's awesome. So. Any last thoughts on the Google reviews? Because I know we're getting close to the end here of our time.
Yeah, I just want to tell people, just take what I've told you and put your own kind of spin on it. You may find results in your area, depending on your geography, north, south, east, west, wherever it is, may vary. Just keep in mind, if you're the best person at doing this and you're doing it without paying a company to do it for you, you're going to win. You've got the tenacity is the 100% of keeping after this. And also just expect that results may vary, but they may take some time, but you will start to see, the fruits of your labor, if you will. So, and I also, Dave, I also like to tell people, feel free to reach out to me with questions, comments, any kind of feedback. I'm a very open book. I like people to respond. I like helping people. And I have a couple of different ways you can do that. Okay. The first way is, you can email me directly. This is my direct email is Jonah, Jonah, Canter, Canter, @gmail.com. That's my direct email. Feel free to send me any comments there. Or if you want to have the more fun aspect of our company, and you're on Instagram, I'm a huge Instagrammer. I love it. I think it's the best thing on earth. You can find me at Chucktown, which is my personal account, or Canter Construction, which is the business account. And you can see pictures and us goofing off on the job sites and in general having some fun. feel free to reach out in either way. You can be a voyeur and just look at the pictures through Instagram, or you can feel free to ask me any questions. I am an open book, and I want to be able to help people, so please do reach out.
Cool, that's awesome. Just thanks so much for spilling your guts and sharing. This has really been fun. We're going to have you back again to talk about something else.
That sounds good. I'll always do it, Dave. I appreciate it. And to everybody listening, thanks for hearing my rambles today.
Cool, that's awesome.
All right, thanks, Dave.
Again, I want to thank you for joining us and investing your time with us today. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and if you did, go to iTunes and give us a shout-out. You can also go to our website, www.contractorsecretweapon.com, and check out today's episode and leave us a comment in the bottom of the page. And if you haven't gotten your 15 secret weapon strategies to getting higher-end customers, get it while you're at the website. Also, I want to thank again our sponsors for keeping this podcast alive for your profit-making pleasure. And so go be profitable this week. Work smarter, not harder, and learn how to leverage your time and your knowledge so that you can be more profitable. Again, see you next week.
Thanks for joining us for another weekly episode of the Contractors Secret Weapon Podcast with Dave Negri. We would love to hear your comments about this episode, so visit us online at www.contractorsecretweapon.com and let us hear your thoughts. If you were listening via iTunes, please leave us a positive review. The more positive reviews we receive, the more other contractors will benefit from this show. Thank you, and see you next time here on the Contractors Secret Weapon Podcast.